A lot of people in this country are frustrated with the actions of the Justice Department, the FBI, and the special counsel who's now indicted President Trump just a week ago on 37 different criminal charges. They're frustrated and they want to do something about it. 55% of the American people believe these indictments were politically motivated. That is degrading to our system of justice and the American people's confidence in our institutions. That's a problem. So now what do we do about it? Well, our next guest, Beth Martin, is the founder and national coordinator for Tea Party Patriots, and she knows a little something about letting your voice be heard up against the big federal government. Beth, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Larry.
Well, I saw your town hall column that said it's time to hold Merrick Garland accountable, but who's going to hold him accountable? I mean, honestly, you know how hopeless people feel right now. It's like there's literally nothing we can do about this, the way the system is rigged.
Well, I completely understand how people feel. And remember, my group, Tea Party Patriots, was targeted by the IRS, and we were targeted for years. And the effects of that were chilling among our supporters, and we never saw true justice with that. So I do understand the frustration very, very well. I think that Merrick Garland should be impeached, and the House of Representatives should proceed with such an impeachment, even if the Senate doesn't want to take that up. What is happening right now is a complete and total abuse of power. And if we don't work to stop it and to stand up against it right now as it is happening, and we don't urge elected officials to do what they can to help stand up against it, we're going to see even more degradation of the foundations of our government. We have to have trust between the people and the government, and it does not exist right now.
I've talked to members of Congress. I know you do on a regular basis too, Beth Martin, and a lot of them, though, they may like that idea, and they say, you bet we should utilize the impeachment process that's in the Constitution for just such an occasion. They're concerned. They're concerned about the politics. They still worry after all these years, Beth Martin, that people in the media are going to say mean things about them. Why can't they get over that? They're always going to say mean things about them.
Yeah, they're always going to say mean things about them. And what I have learned is that when the left is saying mean things about us, whether it's the media, the elected officials, or activists, they're usually just projecting what they actually are. So you just have to get over what they're going to say about you and do what is right. Right is right and wrong is wrong, and you have to be able to stand up for what is right. And we need our elected officials doing that right now. And beyond the elected officials in Congress standing up and doing what they can in their power, and they have the ability, they have more power and a different ability to stand up against this than we do as an individual citizen. But as individual citizens, we also need to be working to secure elections and to win elections in 2024. Because if the elected officials won't take action, the only way to stop this is to send a message to all of them that we, the voters, we, the people, do not consent to what's going on. And we have to do that through secure elections that we win.
The fact that Joe Biden, through his Attorney General Merrick Garland, has now thrown these criminal charges at his primary political opponent, it actually makes us lose standing internationally when we try to scold a country like El Salvador or Venezuela for politically utilizing their justice and judiciary system against a political opponent. I mean, I keep using the word degradation, you do too, because that really is what we're witnessing here. Does it make you think that maybe a new Tea Party movement might be brewing here because the people are so frustrated and it's time to take to the streets and have those rallies and have those demonstrations? Or do you think because we've got a political election coming up, presidential election, and Donald Trump, the target of all of this, is one of the candidates, that that's who they're going to rally around, a candidate rather than just rallying around the idea?
I think that what's going to happen is that they will rally around the candidate. Once the debates begin, which is going to be in just a few weeks, the presidential election sucks all the oxygen out of the media. So the presidential candidates get the attention of the media, and we can have rallies or protests. They won't get a lot of earned media attention. I think the best thing that we can do, and I'm not saying we shouldn't maybe go have sign waving events and have rallies and stand up, for Trump, but he can do that through his own campaign as well. The best thing we can do is get involved and make sure that we win these elections.
Yeah.
And one thing my organization is working on is modernizing how we get out the vote for 2024. Just for that very reason, so we can win.
That's good to know. One thing that I think it's heartening to hear from all the candidates is that they have to start doing the early voting, doing the get out the vote, being robust in that, and not allowing the shenanigans that have happened in the last couple of elections to occur. Are all the candidates on board with that message? And by the way, is the RNC on board with that? I mean, they've got a lot of money, they've got a lot of resources, they've got people on the ground. Why does it even take a group like Tea Party Patriots to have to do this when you would think this would be the RNC's job?
Well, it should be the RNC's job. I can't speak for what they're doing exactly. What I can tell you is that last election cycle, they did help with getting poll watchers in place around the country. I believe that the RNC placed 80,000 poll watchers nationwide, and we helped recruit and get people trained. But at the end of the day, in most states, it's going to be the political party who has to place the poll watchers in some capacity, whether it's through the party or through candidates. So they have to be engaged with that, and they were. There's still more work to be done, though, and it's more than any single organization can do. Lawsuits can happen, challenging voters, what their eligibility to vote where they are registered to vote. A lot of things can happen that the RNC may not be able to do single-handedly.
By the way, it's important to point out, you make the case in your article at Town Hall that this Merrick Garland weaponization of the Justice Department, it didn't begin with these criminal indictments against Donald Trump. I mean, during the Glenn Youngkin election in Virginia, when the parents' movement was getting so much attention and making such a difference in that election, suddenly here's Merrick Garland saying that parents are domestic terrorists and we got to get the FBI to investigate them. When Roe v. Wade was on the brink of being overturned, we had protesters threatening violence outside Supreme Court justices' homes, and Merrick Garland did nothing to enforce the law against such behavior. And then once Roe v. Wade was overturned, we had people arrested for praying in front of Planned Parenthood clinics. And meanwhile, there have been no arrests in the vandalization of pro-life pregnancy centers. I mean, one thing after another, this is the most politicized Justice Department I can remember.
It absolutely is. And it is clear that Merrick Garland has an axe to grind in addition to Joe Biden, and they are doing all they can to cleave to power and not to allow our representative democracy to work as it should. They're interfering with elections. They did it in 2016 and they did it in 2020. And I don't necessarily mean Merrick Garland and Biden did it at that time, but the FBI and the Justice Department did in both of the other elections as well.
And when Barack Obama in 2011, 2010, when he sicked the IRS on groups like yours during the Tea Party movement in the lead up to his reelection campaign, he got away with it. Mistakes were made, apologies were made after the election, after the job was completed. Do you think that was sort of the trial balloon? They saw they got away with it then, so now they're in charge again. They're just going to keep doing it.
Yes, I absolutely think that's what happened. And I went to the Justice Department after President Trump was elected and spoke with then Attorney General Jeff Sessions, trying to get accountability for the people who actually did the illegal activity towards us. And he didn't even, Jeff Sessions did not understand what had happened to our group, to Tea Party Patriots, nor to most of the other groups around the country. And it was clear to me that the Justice Department was not serious about researching and investigating it. They never once even reached out to the groups who were the victims to ask what happened to us. How can you have justice without talking to the victim?
Yeah, this is why people take to the streets and do those Tea Party rallies and marches and such. Just 30 seconds left, and one other coincidence. When those excesses happened under Obama, you remember the White House said, oh, the first we learned about this was on TV. Exact same thing the Biden White House is saying about these events.
Yeah, it's the same thing all over again. They got away with it with us, and they upped the ante in 2016 throughout Trump's entire presidency, and they're upping the ante again. We have to stand against this. All of our elected officials should work to impeach him, at least in the House of Representatives, and we have to do all we can to secure and win elections.
Jenny Beth Martin, keep fighting. You've been doing it the whole time I've known you, over 10 years now, at Tea Party Patriots. There's more to come on O'Connor tonight. Keep it here. You're watching Salem News Channel.